Shiny Pokemon. These Pokemon defects are considered as some of the rarest things among all video games. In fact, the average Pokemon player has probably never seen a shiny Pokemon, let alone caught one. That is, of course, until Game Freak released Pokemon Legends Arceus and more recently Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now that we can see Pokemon in the overworld, there's never been an easier time to get your hands on a shiny Pokemon. But even so, there's one place you would never ever expect to find a shiny, and that's through surprise trade. You know, that system where two random players trade two random Pokemon only for both to end up with a level 3 Lechonk that was found on Route 1? Well, I have a box full of shiny Pokemon that I've traded across from multiple other playthroughs, and the plan is to surprise trade them all. And whatever Pokemon I receive will be my encounter for the Nuzlocke. Yes, I'll be playing with hardcore Nuzlocke rules that are on the screen now. Our first surprise trade has to be significant, and what could be more significant than the mascot of Pokemon itself? Right, let's see what we get. Now, Eevee is actually an amazing encounter, but yep, it's level 30. So sadly, I can't use this little guy for a while, so in the box you go. Needing an encounter to be able to continue the run, this time it's one of my favorite new shinies, Pawmi, that gets sent away. Wooper is a huge encounter, and it even has the water absorb ability. Also, it's level 1, so I can use this guy. We actually get one more encounter before the Nemona fight, so this time I send away my shiny Paldean Wooper, and we get a Sunkern. Yeah, that's kind of depressing. Before we can actually move on, we do need to get these guys some levels, so we do some grinding. With the team leveled up, we head straight to the academy entrance, only for Nemona to ambush us for a battle. Thankfully, Sunkern is more than enough to destroy her Quagsire with Mega Drains. Then once Pawmi comes in, it's game over as it only knows Thunder Shock, and Wooper is immune to electricity, meaning we can come in and end its life with Mud Shots. After beating Nemona, we enter Miaskara and we're confronted by the most intense, intimidating, and terrifying gang around, Team Star. Okay, maybe they aren't that bad. After all that battling, all I want to do is have a bite to eat. Let's check this place out. What the? Palia de Paldea? 1800? Escalvada? 1500? Cloth Allegio? 1500? How am I supposed to afford this? Also, since when are we eating Pokemon now? Alright, change of plans. I'm clicking the link in my description, which will take me to factor75.com, where I can get some amazing meals and 50% off my first box by using my code shown on the screen now. Yes, that's right. This video is sponsored by Factor75. Look, I'm a busy guy, and sometimes I just want something delicious to eat without the hassle of cooking and cleaning. That's why Factor 75 is just perfect for me. Best of all, they cater to all diet types. You want to increase your protein and build some muscle? The Protein Plus options are fantastic. Are you someone who's watching their calories, or maybe you're doing a keto diet? Well, Factor 75 have you covered for that also. Or maybe you're just like me and want something delicious to eat that can be cooked in minutes without the hassle of cleaning up. Either way, Factor 75 are there for you. Each meal has been designed by registered dietitians and carefully prepared by gourmet chefs, so they taste amazing and are packed with nutrients. And unlike other meals, these are fresh and never frozen, so that's just why they taste so much better. If you want to support the channel and eat amazing food at the same time, use my link or go to factor75.com and use my code for 50% off your first box. Thank you Factor75 for sponsoring this video and supporting the channel. Now that we've been fed and received our tasks from Arvin, Nemona and Cassiopeia, we waste no time making our way to the first gym leader, Katie, and a bug Pokemon. But before we do, we are in a new area, which means we can surprise trade another shiny, this time being Capsicid. Bonsly is actually perfect for Katie, And best of all, it came in at level 14, so I barely have to do any grinding. I do go on a slide adventure though, and with the help of some back jumping up here, we can grab ourselves a TM for Wooper Rock Tomb. We then need to prove ourselves worthy to take on the gym by knocking around this giant green olive before finally being able to enter the gym and go face to face with Katie. Wooper starts us off, and after a couple of Rock Tombs, Nimble is crushed like a bug. Bonsley tags in for Wooper and can deal with a Tarantula with some rock throws. Katie's ace, Turdiursia, terrestrializes, and this thing almost gave us our first death. Thankfully, we held on, and one more rock throw is enough to get the win and defeat Katie. After the fight, Bonsley evolves into a Sudowoodo, which is actually pretty strong at this point of the game. The Stony Cliff Titan Clorf is next up on my to-do list, but we have reached a new area, so another surprise trade can happen, and this time it's Natalie's turn to go. Okay, although Charcadet is useless for the Titan fight, this thing is going to be huge for the run. It even has a sturdy body. What a great trade. We track down the Titan Clorf, and our little guy Wooper can defeat the first phase with some terrestrialized water guns. The giant crab runs away, then has a cheeky snack on some illegal herbs before coming back for round 2. The plan doesn't change, and after a few more water guns from Wooper, we slay our first Titan. Gracias and his weeds are my next victim, but before we take him on, we do another surprise trade, and what better Pokemon to trade than a shiny Clorf? Glalie isn't the worst Pokemon in the world, but it's level 51 and it's completely useless for most of the run. Hey Vegeta, how many people haven't subscribed to the channel yet?
It's over 9,000! What, 9,000? There's no way that can be right!
Nah, I think they're right, Nappa. If you've been enjoying the videos and you want to support me, hit that subscribe button. Thank you. Okay, so I was heading to a location of a Sunstone so that I could use it to evolve Sunkern into a Sunflora, and, well, look what I found. Yep, a shiny Skittle. I made a rule on the spot, and I thought it was fair that I'd be able to catch this guy and surprise trade it, and you won't believe what happens. Yep, some random guy called Potato just surprise traded a normal Skittle and got a shiny one in return. I can't imagine what reaction he would have had. We then do grab a Sunstone that is nearby, and with the power of evolution, our useless Sunkern becomes a slightly less useless Sunflora. There are a few more things I want to do to prepare for the next gym fight, starting by looking for a TM. So I go on a bit of adventure, and we get the TM for Flamethrower, which is huge. Next I head back to Miaskara, and inside the Delibird shop, we can get our hands on a charcoal, which will raise our fire attacks. With the preparations complete, we head to take on Brassius. Both their Petalil and the Smoliv stood no chance, burning into a crisp with flamethrowers. Sudowoodo actually outspeeds Charcadet and then lands a huge rock throw, which somehow we survive on 1 HP. We then retaliate with a flamethrower, but it's not quite enough. I bring in my own Sudowoodo, who eats a rock throw on the switch before taking big damage from a Trial Blaze. We go for a rock throw, and this stupid thing barely survives. Thankfully, our newly evolved Sunflora can come in and finish the job with a tackle, giving us the win. With another badge under our belt, we can finally do another shiny surprise trade, and well, this might be the craziest one yet. Yep, somehow we got a shiny Decidueye from our Wonder Trade. Turns out I'm not the only one giving out shiny Pokemon. Now it's level 100 and a shiny, so I do end up surprise trading it again, this time getting ourselves a Pichu. An electric type is exactly what we need for the next Titan battle, Bombardier, so the plan is to make this thing a Raichu ASAP. The first step is to head back to Miaskara and buy ourselves a Soothe Bell, which will boost our friendship while being held. Then we head to this part of the map and start collecting berries here, which will add 5 to 10 points towards friendship and then gets doubled again thanks to the Soothe Bell. After stuffing our Pichu with these berries, we level them up and now we have ourselves a Pikachu. Finally, we need to get our hands on a Thunderstone, which we can find up this windmill and use it to evolve our electric mouse into a powerful Raichu. With our preparations complete, we head up the mountain to take on the giant Bombardier. And well, this was actually easy for a change. Back-to-back Thunderbolts from Raichu deal with the first phase of the fight, and in the second part, it's Sudowoodo giving this bird a taste of its own medicine by dropping some rocks on it. Wooper is now ready to evolve, and Sudowoodo looking kinda thick, huh? Now it's time to do some more surprise trading. with our pink Lechonk being sent in the other direction. In return, we receive a Drifloon, which ain't the best matchup for what we have coming up next. That's right, it's Team Star's Dark Base boss, DJ Vice, or better known as Giacomo, that needs to be dealt with. As we enter the gate, the first task is to clear out 30 of the Grunt's Pokemon, which isn't too difficult, before the boss himself has seen enough and comes out to take us on. Quagsire leads the way, and 2 bulldozers later, the Pawniard has been KO'd. The Starmobile is next in, and Quagsire does his best to whittle down the giant car with bulldozers, while protecting and getting leftovers recovery, but eventually we're too low to stay in and fight. Sudowoodo plays his part, coming in and bringing in the Starmobile right down to the red with a couple of low kicks, but once again we're getting too low on health and we need a switch. Thankfully, some Flora is up for the task, and a Terrestrialized Mega Drain is enough to finish off this hunk of junk and beat our first Team Star battle. Iona and her electric Pokemon are firmly on my mind, but first, let's surprise trade this shiny Eevee I have. Sprigatito is actually amazing, and best of all, it has an adamant nature which is actually perfect for this grass cat. Not wasting any time, we train up the little guy, and now we have ourselves a Florigato right before the Nemona fight. Although to be fair, Quagsire is more than enough to deal with Nemona's 3 Pokemon, which are bulldozed to their deaths. But that's where I made a big mistake. You see, Pokemon that have been traded gain EXP quicker than Pokemon you would normally catch. And because of that, Quagsire, the Pokemon that makes the Iona fight free, overleveled to 25. Nevertheless, we must push on and we take on Iona. Sudowoodo starts things off by rock tombing the Watch Roll and crushing it in one hit. Bellybolt comes in, so I switch in some Flora, who is holding leftovers, to take some damage from a water gun while almost recovering completely. Next we Leech Seed the Bellybolt, and then we start using Giga Drains to deal damage while staying healthy. Unfortunately, one of the sparks did paralyze us, leading to missing some attacks, but eventually we do get the kill. Luxio isn't much of a problem, and 2 more Giga Drains brings Iona to her last Pokemon, Mismagius. She goes for a Hex on some Flora, but we can just hang in on a thread and respond with a Leech Seed, which is huge for us. Raichu then plays his part, coming in and starts tail whipping the Mismagius, dropping its defense a couple of times, allowing Florigato to Seed Bomb this thing back into a ghost. Now it's time for another surprise trade, and this time it's one of my favorite shinies, Pawniard. We do the trade only to get a duplicate, meaning we need to send this grass cat back into the world and get another Pokemon, which ends up being Earthworm. A jolly nature with Earth Eater is actually fantastic and it will be added to the team. Team Star are back in my mind, and this time it's the Fire Base and their leader Mela that stands in my way. And although she looks like she's tough and menacing, our boy Quagsire makes short work of her Torkoal with some Earthquakes. Her Starmobile comes in trying to save the day, but ultimately she has the same fate as her turtle. The Lurking Steel Titan Earthworm needs to be stopped, but there's one more thing I do first, and that's kill all the Sinistys in the overworld, giving us Sinistys chips, which we can then take to this lady here. She trades 10 of them for a malicious armor, which we can use to evolve Charcadet into a Ceruledge. Wasting no time, our newly evolved Pokemon goes head to head with the Titan Pokemon Earthworm, finishing it off with some flamethrowers whilst being underleveled. As it was raining during the second phase, Sudowoodo comes in and starts low kicking the Earthworm a few times until it's defeated. Kofu is the water-type master of Paldea, who can be found at Cascarafa, but before we can actually take him on, we need to get his wallet from this lady, travel to Port Marinada, beat up his apprentice in a Pokemon battle, return the wallet to Kofu, and then buy some seaweed for 35,000 Pokédollars. With that all done, we can finally take him on. Raichu terrestrializes, and one Thunderbolt ends the life of a loser. Voltria doesn't stand a chance either, and it's also fried with a Thunderbolt. Crabominal is a thick boy, and a Thunderbolt doesn't quite get the job done, but Raichu is too nimble, dodging the incoming Crab Hammer, and then finishing off this crab with a Bolt of Lightning. Speaking of nimble, we get another surprise trade, and this little bug is sent off. Okay, while Drippy is an amazing Pokemon to have, it doesn't evolve into a Dragapult until level 60. That means it's practically useless until we reach the endgame. Team Star is back on the agenda, with the Poison Base and the leader Atticus needing to be taught a lesson. After clearing out a bunch of his Grunt's Pokemon, Atticus comes out with his Starmobile, ready to fight. All of them get some love, and I let him lead against a Skuntank. We go for some bulldozers, while Skuntank hits us back with sucker punches. Eventually we outlast the Skuntank, and we take it out. Rivaroom is next in, and he heals us with a bulldoze thanks to our Earth Eater ability, before falling to back-to-back bulldozers from Orthworm. Now it's Muck's turn, and this thing only has 2 moves. Sludge Wave that doesn't affect me, and Mud Slap that heals me. Yeah, sometimes life is not fair. Finally, it's the Starmobile, which does pose a threat thanks to flame charges, but we can whittle it down with some bulldozers before tagging in Quagsire to finish the job with earthquakes, sending the car to the scrapyard. Now with a new level cap, Florigata can get to level 36, evolving into a Miaskara. We arrive at Medali City, and we enter the restaurant to order the secret menu that for some reason leads to a gym fight. Like, what if someone genuinely wants a medium serving of grilled rice balls, extra crispy with some lemon, only to find out that they end up with a scrap with Larry instead? Ceruledge takes the lead against Larry's Kamala, who can set up with bulk ups for free, as this thing can't touch us with its moveset. Once we've set up to +6, we go for a flame charge, which not only takes it out, but also raises our speed. The Dunsparce is a thick boy indeed, but we're just too strong, and another flame charge eliminates it. Last is the Staraptor, who does drop her attack with Intimidate, but it means nothing, as one more flame charge lands, destroying Larry's poor bird. Before we even get a chance to breathe, Nemona hunts us down, and we're forced to have another battle with her. She leads with Lycanroc, so I switch in Quagsire, who can take some bites before earthquaking this dog straight back to Nemona. Now it's Goomy, who lands a Dragon Pulse, leaving us pretty low. However, we respond with an earthquake, which crushes this baby dragon. Nemona is sweating, bringing in Pormo, allowing me to bring in Ceruledge for free as it goes for a quick attack. 2 flame charges later, and we've taken it out, leaving just our ace, Quaquaville. Baiting the water move, I switch in Quagsire, who gets healed from the Aqua Step, switching in. Air Slashes get us low, and an Earthquake doesn't quite get it to half health, so I switch in Raichu, who eats an Air Slash before going for a stab. Super effective Thunderbolt, taking... wait, what? It seriously survived this? And that's our first death of the run. Miaskara does come in and finish off the battle with a flower trick, but I'm kinda salty that a Thunderbolt didn't get the kill. In hindsight, I probably should have terrestrialized Raichu. Anyway, the show must go on. However, we do need a new team member, and I have the perfect replacement. The greatest Eevee evolution in my humble opinion, and actually my favorite Pokemon of all time, Jolteon. We gotta now deal with Rhyme and a ghost, who are chilling in the snowy region of Montenervera. After beating up a child, a cowgirl, and then Moist Critical, we have finally done enough to get the attention of Rhyme. Miaskara and Ceruledge are in charge, and we target Mimikyu, breaking its disguise with a Night Slash, and then finishing it off with a Shadow Claw. Bennett goes for an Icy Wind, dropping our speed, but because I did terrestrialize, the crowd goes wild and raises all our stats by 1 stage. Things go from bad to worse for Rhyme, as a Shadow Claw destroys her Bennett, and a Houndstone gets sent back to its grave with a Night Slash from Miaskara. Toxtricity is the last Pokemon, and Rhyme, still full of confidence, starts hyping up the crowd as she's about to terrestrialize a Pokemon. Yeah, I'm not sure why she got all excited for. The quaking Earth Titan has been causing havoc at Asada Desert, so we make our way there to put a stop to it. Miaskara lands big damage with a flower trick, while a rapid spin does decent damage back, also raising its speed. On the next turn we get outsped and hit with a huge Iron Head, which leaves us on 3 HP. Thankfully, a second flower trick does enough damage to make the big guy flee. Not letting it get away, we track down the Titan and corner it. It eats its herbs and then takes us on. This time it's Quagsire who takes the lead, and we just whittle this thing down with Drain Punch after Drain Punch after Drain Punch. Eventually it does go down, and we have slayed another Titan. We are making some serious progress, and after going through a cave, we arrive at Alfornada, where Tulip and a psychic Pokemon are waiting. But before we can take her on, we have a problem. Yep, it's Nemona, and yep, she wants to battle. Give me a minute, guys, this won't take long. Tulip can now be taken on, and Miaskara is starting for us against her for Farigiraf. We start using Hone Claws, raising our attack and accuracy, while we're getting crunched, doing minimal damage. Eventually we get our attack up to +5, and unleash a Night Slash, obliterating the Farigiraf. One by one, all of Tulip's Pokemon come in, only to be taken out by Miaskara in a single hit. Even the terrestrialized Florges stood no chance, and we can make quick work of Tulip and her team. There's just one more gym badge left to collect, so we head back to the snowy mountains where the Glaciado gym is located. Using our, shiny Maridon? Okay. We race down the mountain with ease and pass the gym test. So up next we have Grocer, and I'm not going to lie, when I first played this, I thought he was a girl. Although it doesn't matter, as Ceruledge makes this gym an absolute joke. We start by setting up with Swords Dancers, raising our attack on the Frostmoth, before flame charging the Icy Bug, taking it out and raising my speed. From here we can Bitter Blade everything in sight, melting every single one of Grocer's poor Pokemon, with none of them even standing a chance. Although we can now technically take on the Pokemon League and become champion, Team Star and the Titan Pokemon still need to be dealt with. Starting with Team Star, we head towards the fairy base where Ortega is waiting. As usual, we storm the base, beat up some Pokemon, and force the boss out of hiding. Orthworm starts us off and lands a couple of Iron Heads on the Azumarill, but we get charmed harshly, dropping our attack, making him too weak to stay in. Quagsire tags in and also gets charmed, but lands some Earthquakes, bringing Azumarill on low health before switching Orthworm back in to finish off the job with an Iron Head. Dashbun jumps in, but two more Iron Heads send the dog straight back to Ortega. Now it's Wigglytuff, and although I could leave Orthworm in, I decide to switch in Ceruledge, who can eat a Play Rough and then sets up with a Swords Dance, doubling our attack, only for Wigglytuff to charm us right back down to normal. On the next turn we go for a Bitter Blade, which is close to taking it out, while Wigglytuff misses its Play Rough, allowing us to finish off the job with one more Bitter Blade. Last of all is the Starmobile, which lands a Steel Roller doing minimal damage, while we set up with the Swords Dance, raising our attack. It then lands a Confuse Ray, which is annoying, but thankfully we still get the Bitter Blade off, dealing good damage. The Starmobile continues to attack us with magical talks, but they barely hurt us, and Ceruledge is just too focused and can land back-to-back Bitter Blades without getting confused and getting the kill. Right after the battle, Drippy also evolves into a Dracloak, and now this thing is somewhat usable. The False Dragon Titan is the last of the Oversight Pokemon left to slay, so we make our way to the location on the map. The giant Dondozo comes out of nowhere and attacks us, but unfortunately for this big fish, Jolteon is just too fast and too strong, frying it with a couple of Thunderbolts. As usual, the Titan flees, but we jump on our Maridon and we follow its trail. Jolteon then once again makes short work of the Dondozo, but it turns out that the true Titan was the tiny Tatsugiri. Surprisingly, this thing is much bulkier, and after a few Terra Blasts from Jolteon, we get low on health and we're forced to switch in Quagsire to finish the job with some Earthquakes. With all that done, all that's left is the fighting Team Star base, who is led by Eerie. We start the fight, and Toxicroak is so desperate to go for a super effective Sucker Punch that it allows Dracloak to set up with Dragon Dances 5 times before, well, just watch. After such a dominating display, it ends up evolving into its final form, Dragapult. With all the gym badges obtained, all the Titan Pokemon defeated, and every Team Star base raided, we can finally take on the Elite Four. Rika and her ground type start off the Elite Four journey as she leads with Whiscash, who is obliterated with a quite effective Flower Trick from Miaskara. As expected, Camerupt is in next, so I switch in Quagsire, who can take a Fire Blast like a champ. Camerupt goes for a Yawn, which is annoying, but we land an Aqua Tail on it, absolutely destroying the fiery camel. Next is Donphan, and to avoid falling asleep, I switch in Orthworm, who is immune to Earthquakes, taking no damage before hard switching Quagsire back in, eating an Iron Head with ease. Donphan does hit us with 2 Earthquakes, but we're actually bulky enough to survive, while ending its life with a couple of Aqua Tails. Dugtrio comes in, so Orthworm is brought back in and deals with it by using Iron Heads. Last is a Clodsire, but we can stay in and whittle it down with Iron Heads, eventually taking it out and beating Rika. Poppy makes her way inside, and I'm not quite sure how a toddler became an Elite Four member, to be honest. She leaves with Copperajah, and an Earthquake, followed by a Drain Punch from Quagsire, takes it out. Corviknight is a little trickier to deal with, as I switch in Earthworm for free as it goes for an Iron Defense. We then shed Tail out of there, allowing us to bring in Jolteon with a sub already up. Unfortunately, a Body Press does take out the sub with ease, leaving Jolteon vulnerable. On the next turn, Jolteon can easily outspeed and land a huge Thunderbolt on the Flying Taxi, frying it to death. Now it's Bronzong, so I switch in the ever-reliable Quagsire, who can start Drain Punching its way through the Giant Bell until it's destroyed. Magnezone is next, so we land a Drain Punch doing decent damage, but more importantly breaking it sturdy, before an Earthquake crushes this thing into pieces. Finally it's the Tinkaton, so I go for a Protect expecting a Gigaton Hammer, but instead it went for a Play Rough. On the next turn it does go for a Gigaton Hammer, but it barely tickles us, allowing a Drain Punch, followed up with an Earthquake to put an end to Poppy and her Pokemon. Larry is back, and this time it's Flying type that he has with him. Ceruledge starts us off by going for a Swords Dance, doubling our attack while eating an Air Slash. We follow up with a Bitter Blade, which is super effective, destroying the Flying Plant and healing us up. Raptor comes in and it drops my attack with Intimidate, but a Bitter Blade is still too much for this bird. Oricorio suffers the same fate and goes down to a single Bitter Blade. Altaria actually resists fire moves, so we go for a Shadow Claw which does decent damage, but we also take a big hit from a Dragon Pulse. A Bitter Blade then deals the final blow while also healing us up in the process. Flamingo does come in and Terrestrialize, but another Bitter Blade is more than enough to take it out and defeat Larry for a second time. Hassel is now the last member that we need to beat before the champion, and this was probably the simplest fight yet. Dragapult can Terrestrialize and Dragon Dart all his Pokemon, taking them out in a single turn. Noivern, dead. Flapple, dead. Dragalge, dead. Haxorus, dead, and Terrestrialized Baxcalibur, dead. It was that easy. With the Elite Four beaten up, we can step outside where we can find the champion herself, Geeta. Miaskara starts things off, going for a stab, super effective Night Slash, and it still doesn't get the kill. Even Geeta is mocking me at this point. This allows Espartha to set up a Reflect before one more Night Slash puts an end to this Emu. Gogo comes in, so I decide to go for a U-turn, dealing respectable damage while bringing in Ceruledge. Gogo goes for bulk ups, raising its defense and attack, which is fine as back-to-back Bitter Blades slice up the goat. Now it's Avalugg who comes in, so I switch in Quagsire, who gets hit by an avalanche for minimal damage. Our Derpy Boy then starts Drain Punching this slab of ice until eventually it crumbles into pieces. Geeta then sends in Veluza, who hits me with a Liquidation, realizing that this thing has Mold Breaker, so my Water Absorb won't work against it. Luckily, back-to-back Earthquakes is enough to put this fish out of its misery and defeat it. King Gambit is a huge threat due to Supreme Overlord raising its attack, but we can survive a Kowtow Cleave from this monster before dealing massive damage back and healing ourselves with Drain Punch. We follow up with another Drain Punch, and Geeta is now left with just one Pokemon. Her ace Clamora comes in to try and save the day, but Orthworm is also swapped in to ruin it for her, as its Earth Eater ability allows us to come in for free. Orthworm can then finish off the job with some super effective Iron Heads of the Glamora, giving us the win and making us a champion ranked trainer. Our Stalker Nemona starts running towards us, wanting to battle, but I have a few loose ends I need to tie up first. First on the agenda is to head to the lighthouse where Ivan is waiting, where we can enter, only to find out that the professor is trapped in Area Zero and needs to be rescued. Ivan then says he wants to test out our strength. Like, really? After everything I've done for you, you still doubt me? Dragapult is in charge of this fight, and because it's a ghost type, we can't get hit with body slams that could paralyze us. This means we can set up with multiple Dragon Dances on Ivan's Greedent before annihilating the rest of his team. This really wasn't a fair fight, but Ivan was asking for it by insulting my Pokemon. Now we do have a level cap problem, so I need to go into this director fight with just a Jolteon. But I have faith in my boy. I start things off by going for a Calm Mind, raising my special attack and special defense, while Oranguru goes for a Foul Play, doing decent damage. We double down, going for another Calm Mind, making Jolteon stronger, while this time Oranguru yawns us, making us drowsy. We then go for one more Calm Mind, making Jolteon a monster, while we get hit by one more Foul Play, bringing us below half health. We then fall asleep due to the yawn earlier, but I came prepared with a Chester Berry, waking us right back up. And now we can dominate. Although we've beaten Director Clavel, there is one more person to deal with to finish off the Team Star quest line, and that is Penny. Like the previous fight, in order to manage the level cap, I need to solo this fight with a single Pokemon, this time being Miaskara. Umbreon tries to drop her attack with Baby Doll Eyes, but I'm holding a Clear Amulet, which stops it from happening. We then go for a Hone Claws, powering ourselves up by raising our attack and accuracy. The incoming Dark Pulses from Umbreon barely touch us, and we can set up to the max with Hone Claws, making Miaskara unstoppable. And if you like Eevee evolutions, I suggest you turn away as we show no mercy, ending them all one by one with a single hit from our Grass Cat. Penny is defeated, and we have finished off the Team Star quest. Last but not least, we have Nemona waiting to battle us at the center of Mesagoza. Well, not just Nemona, looks like everyone's here to see this. Orthworm starts the fight, eating an Accelerock like a boss before raising its defense with Iron Defense. We do this 2 more times, and now we're at +6 in defense, which normally wouldn't mean anything when it comes to attacking, but we have a move called Body Press. Although I actually forgot about it for a moment, and we went for Iron Heads on the Lycanroc instead, which took 2 hits to take out. Now it's the Orthworm show, and we can Body Press all of Nemona's Pokemon. Pawmont, dead. Orthworm, dead. The Dunsparce, dead. Goodra, dead. Quaquaville, dead. And just like that, we've beaten Nemona for the last time. Before we can wrap up the run, there is one more battle we must do, so we head to the forbidden entrance of Area 0 and meet up with Arvin. Then Nemona and Penny also show up, and all 3 of us jump on Mamaridon, who can safely take us down to Area 0. Once here, we continue to make our way deeper and deeper until finally we find the entrance of the Professor's lab. As we all know by now, the Professor has actually been dead for years, and in fact we're speaking to an AI version, which is kinda creepy when you think about it. We head to the final battlefield where the Professor tells us that the only way we can stop the Paradox Pokemon from escaping Area 0 is to stop the time machine, which means we need to stop him by having a Pokemon battle. The Professor loses all control and the final battle begins. Quagsire takes the lead against his Iron Moth, who uses Air Slash to deal decent damage to us, but that's the last thing it will ever do, as a quite effective Earthquake obliterates it in a single hit. Iron Thorn drops in next and lands an Earthquake, bringing us below half health, and although an Earthquake back would get the kill, I decided to Drain Punch it instead, as it deals great damage while also healing us up. A second Drain Punch does crush the Iron Thorns, and now it's Iron Bundle who comes in to take us on. It goes for a Freeze Dry, and I completely forgot that this move is super effective against water types. Plus the fact that I'm also part ground type means we stood no chance of surviving, and we lose Quagsire. I'm actually gutted, as this thing was with us from the start and was carrying our team for so many battles. Anyway, the show must go on. Jolteon comes in and can get revenge for us, as it zaps the Iron Bundle with a Thunderbolt, taking it out. Iron Jugglers comes in next, but Jolteon ain't messing around, and another Thunderbolt absolutely destroys it. Now it's Iron Hands, so expecting a fake out, I switch in Ceruledge, who's immune and gets in for free. I set up with a Swords Dance, while a Thunder Punch does a fair bit of damage to us back. Ceruledge then Terrestrializes, and we go for a Bitter Blade, but it's not quite enough to get the job done, meaning we take another Thunder Punch, but thankfully we don't get paralyzed. One more Bitter Blade does get the kill on the Iron Hands, and now AI Turo is down to his last Pokemon. I'm afraid the probability of you winning is 0. Yeah, I think you're malfunctioning, Professor. Pretty sure it's the other way around. Iron Valiant comes in and it outspeeds and lands a huge Brick Break on us, but we hold on and retaliate with a Bitter Blade, which slices this bootleg Gardevoir straight back to the future, giving us the win and defeating AI Professor Turo. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.